In the year 17, the number of companies dropped even further to 45, and the contribution is just 23 crores. What does that show? It shows that corporate India understands that CSR is about doing it yourself, not leaving it to the Prime Minister and the government of India to do it. They have enough resources. They're doing it anyway, because the buck on development stops at the government's corridors. What are you doing is your answer to society. And this, I think, has been a major breakthrough. So, which state spent the most? Or where was the spending most? And here again, the answer would be fairly obvious. Most of corporate India is concentrated in Maharashtra, in Gujarat, and in Tamil Nadu, and therefore they are the most powerful bastions of CSR. But do we want those states which are already developed to have more development? CSR is about people like the youngest Sarpanch that we have here. These are the areas to which CSR needs to go. They are the ones who are crying out for CSR. And we have young leaders who will spend that money wisely, with discretion, and honestly. Tomorrow's breed of young politicians have a different perception of society. It's not about collecting money from here and giving it somewhere else. It's about seeing the work being done. Because when they go back to the people, that's the work they will show. This is what we have done, so that they get re-elected. And if we can strengthen the hands of these grassroots people, then CSR would have gone somewhere. And I'm so happy, Hirosen sir, that you've invited such luminaries as these people here. But, and I've said this before a year ago when I took some idea about the geographic distribution, the Northeast spend was minuscule, not even 1% of the total spend. And I was thinking then that should we tell government that shall we incentivize CSR spending in the Northeast to tweak the legislation somewhat so that those areas of our country which were crying out for CSR money. But look, there's a realization even among corporates, among the public sector, that we need to spend money where none was being spent earlier, or at least much less. And so we see here that Northeast India received investments from 35% of the PSEs and 65% of the non-PSEs, showing very positive signs in that very important part of our country. Disclosure. One of the elements of that legislation, which no other country has, is about what companies now need to disclose. Because you as audience, you can ask questions. Suppose corporates come here and the corporate communications team gives you these 12 or 14 very fancy slides. Half of them you can't read because the print is so small. The idea there is not about this. The idea is to ask, if you did that project, how many beneficiaries were there? Can you please share with us the list of beneficiaries? Answer, sorry, don't know. Can you tell us in this project, when did you receive the board approval? What was the date? Sorry, can't remember. What is the IT tool that you used to monitor that project? What is the name of the tool and the software? Sorry, can't remember. What is the name of the CSR 3-member committee? What is the name of that person who monitored this project? Sorry, can't say. When did this project start and when did it end? Don't know, can't remember. Who conducted the impact evaluation of this project? We did. Yeah, you did. You conducted the evaluation of your own project. God help us. What were the cost and time overruns in this project? Can't share because don't want to. What were the adversities that this project showed? What were the resistance put up by the community when you first went to them? Normally, when you go to a community, communities today are very resistant about people coming, saying, hey, I want to do some CSR with you guys. What does the community say? Go hang yourselves, we don't need that. But no corporate will come here and say that to you. You have to be able to say, when you went to that community, how did you win them over? What did you do to overcome their fears that you were just another profiteering private sector company? What was the message you gave them? How did you win over their hearts? That's what this audience wants to know. Not the fancy slides about what you did. They're meaningless. So, what we are now seeing is that some realization, I'm not saying that it's all dark, but we are now getting beneficiary lists. We are now getting impact data. Some corporates are saying, we actually, out of these 50 projects, 5 of them were externally evaluated. And the results of that external evaluation are available on our website. Who did the external evaluation? One of your tattoos? No. This evaluation was done by the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. Credibility. And that's where you see that some of that legislation is now coming home to bite. And many corporates are proud to say that our track record is not about corporate communication. It's about honestly telling you what we did and what we didn't or couldn't. How many people did not divulge any data at all? Of the 17,000 companies, how many have consistently not put out in the public domain one single year, one single fact? Conscientious objectors, staying under the radar, hoping to remain out of sight, dodging the act. How many do you think? Or at least what percentage of the total number of companies actually didn't divulge anything for 4 years? 30%? No, it's less than 5%. It's about 3.9. But what we're seeing is that finally the government regulatory mechanism is kicking in. For the first time in the year 1617, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs is issuing notices to companies who have been conscientious defaulters on the CSR scenario. And now, as a result of that proactive action, companies are gradually divulging more and more. Health and sanitation actually dropped FY17 compared to FY16 by around, marginally, around 9%. Education and skill development increased by 50 percentage points because I have now included education and skill development. If I had said only education, it would have been roughly consistent. But skill development has caught up in a very big way. And I'm extremely happy to see that. Because we constantly criticize government, aapne jobs ke liye kya kiya? The time when we were a socialist state and jobs was about a government job is long gone. There are no government jobs. We are actually rationalizing. We don't recruit anymore. It's about creating jobs. And skill development is a powerful tool. Gender equality, roughly about the same, but again, more in the public sector than in the private sector. Not happy with that, but at least the spending is the same. Good news for Mr. Day. environment and ecology, where I had hoped when drafting the law that there would be increase. 66 percentage points of increase in one single year. It, I'm not saying the planet is safe, but at least we're trying to do something. And that is a very telling statistic. But India is about art, culture, heritage, our ethos. The rise is not double digits, it's triple digits, 200% in 1 year. Again, something that I'd almost missed, but finally squeezed into the legislation, even as we were writing the last few words. Help to our armed forces veterans who really fight on the borders of this country. Could CSR do something for them? And what do I see? Between the 2 years, for the first time, I'll give you the actual amount, 33 crores from virtually zero were spent on our armed forces veterans. And I'm hoping that there will be even greater buy-in. What's the rise in sports development? Again, not double digit. 3 digits. And this is not about IPL. This is not about cricket. Those are banned from Schedule 7. The first thing we did was to make sure that all of that crap doesn't enter Schedule 7. They don't need help. They're the richest in the whole world, not the country. An increase there in sports of 192%. And that's why maybe we're seeing something. In the Commonwealth Games, in the Asian Games, our sports stars today are getting the facilities that they need. And that's beginning to show. And when, as corporates and as civil society, we can see, maybe not my effort directly, but my nation's efforts, it makes us feel so proud. Which is the single state that has shown the most dramatic, explosive spending in CSR? Small state. Goa. Amazingly. And I'm ever so happy to see that that wonderful state of ours, where we always think of partying and beaches and stuff, they're doing such great work on CSR. But other states also in Northeast have been doing well. And then I'm happy to see that among the bigger spenders, we have Orissa, we have Jharkhand, and of course, we have Haryana. Let me also read to you, and this is actually the funny part. Today said, let's have some fun. What is the kind of excuse? Remember, what does the law say? CSR is not compulsory. You don't have to do CSR. The law doesn't mandate that you have to. What does the law mandate? And if you don't spend, report why. Okay? And those who did not spend, what kind of excuses would they give? Any guesses? Remember, you can give any excuse. You can say you fell ill, you forgot, you went on a holiday, you went to a parent-teacher meeting. CSR is not important. You don't believe in CSR. You can say weather wasn't good. You can say anything. But remember that whatever you say has to be signed by your CEO and the chief of the CSR committee. So when they write they were on a holiday in the slopes of Saint Maurice, would they actually write that down? They wouldn't. So typically, this is the kind of stuff we had. Board approval for projects was delayed. Valid excuse? Now, what is another famous CHATTERJEE aphorism on CSR? The law brings CSR from the back room to the boardroom. Why? Because of what Rusen has put up there on the board. Leadership Summit. What leadership? The leadership of CSR resides where the best minds of the company are located. In the boardroom. It's the board members who take leadership on CSR, not some flunky down somewhere in the distance. And that's why you can't say project delayed because board didn't approve. Those are the people who are supposed to clear your projects the 1 year before you start them. So, an example of what you should not be doing and a clear revelation of how poorly serviced you are in the realm of CSR. Prolonged time period to formulate our CSR policy. अरे भाई इतनी मगजमारी करी पॉलिसी बनाने में कि हमें स्पेंडिंग का ही टाइम नहीं मिला. बढ़िया 3 साल से प्लानिंग ही चल रही है सर, लेकिन जब करेंगे बढ़िया करेंगे, तब तक आप चुप रहो. सेकंड, प्रोलॉन्ग्ड प्रिपेरेटरी फेज. सर हम जांच रहे हैं कि जमीनी जो है हरकतें वो क्या हैं. आज तक तो हम बेचते रहे प्रोडक्ट, जैसे ये फोन, हमें पता नहीं था कि नीचे क्या हो रहा है, उसकी हम डिस्कवरी कर रहे हैं. करिए साहब, जब ठीक होगा तो करें. CSR कमेटी नॉट फॉर्म्ड. अरे भाई क्यों नहीं फॉर्म? 3 बंदे का एक नोटिफिकेशन 4 साल लग गए. क्यों नहीं फॉर्म किया? यू हैव ब्रोकन द लॉ. Each of those CSR committee members is punishable with 25 lakhs personal fine and 3 years imprisonment. What happened? Knowing doing gap, non-finalization of CSR areas. अब शेड्यूल 7 में सर ऑलमोस्ट 16 आपने वो टॉपिक दे दिए हैं. कौन सा टॉपिक सर्च करें सर? अरे भाई जब इम्तिहान में जाते हो और आपको ऐसे लिखना होता है, 3 टॉपिक्स दिए हैं, अगर 3 घंटे आप टॉपिक के हुई चॉइस में लगा दो तो ऐसे कब लिखोगे? आज तक ढूंढ रहे हैं कि उसमें कौन सा काम करना, इत्यादि इत्यादि. But what I'm saying is, every single time that a corporate puts a reason out on the domain, the strength of you and me to know that the failing of that company resides in the excuse that they put on the board, and you know what's wrong. All right, so that is more or less the current kind of trend that's happening. There is today, as I said, when I talked to you at some length, some very good trends, incredibly good trends, whether you call them tailwinds or headwinds. A lot of mindset change has occurred. The other important or very often quoted CHATTERJEE aphorism is the trend that's happening and which I frequently call the NGOization of corporates, the corporatization of NGOs. In the interaction between them, the informal NGO sector had to come in close contact and synergy with the suited, booted, very formal corporate sector. So the झोला वाला goes to the corporate and says, भाई कुछ पैसे दे दो ताकि मैं कुछ implement करूं. Corporate वाला क्या बोलता है? Give me last 3 years return. Give me specifics. Give me this. Give me that. अरे वो झोला वाला बोलता है ये क्या है भाई? What are these things? This is all jargon. Now, who is doing the work? Not the guy who's playing around with the jargon. The work is being done by the grassroots worker, who then asks that same character who's asking all this jargon, When was the last time that you actually met with Beena Bai in village Kharochi of district Gadchiroli, who has a problem relating to her girl child who has not been to a school in the last 12 years? Batao. In raw language. वो तो सूट बूट उतार देता भाई, दोबारा डायलॉग शुरू करें. What's happening? What's happening here is that the corporate picks up his ears and says, hey, that's true. That domain I do not know. And the NGO picks up its ears and says, hey, I don't know the jargon, but I need to know. Because